Hi. Okay, just a quick look at this one again. This, which I assume is the Revell kit, before we dig further into the Tamiya. Such a nice big size. I must admit I wouldn't mind building this Revell as well. I don't know what color schemes they give with the Revell apart from this one. I'd like to do something different, but we'll see. I've just given it a bit of a wipe off, but it's still pretty dirty. But very, very nice. But I definitely find that the undercarriage detracts from the overall view of the Phantom, especially if you're hanging it up. And I'm not going to be transporting a Phantom around to display at places. It's big and I don't want it to be dropped or anything like that. It'll just go on the ceiling. Okay, I've done quite a bit of, well, I've done de-spring, I've started some cleaning, I have cut off pieces. So that decal set, a lot of the decals are missile and stores related. So overall the amount of decal work is quite minimal, which in this build I'm okay with. I do like it when a build has a lot of nice decals, but not always. So what you see in this box now, including that big wing piece, is essentially all of it minus the big stores, although I've got some of the stores in here, but most of the stores, so you're not getting a visual impression of too much stuff here. And I'm even going to be taking out these, I'm going to be separating out all the undercarriage parts and the wheels. Very nicely done, but I won't be using them. Okay, some of you did make comments, some suggestions about using magnets for the stores. Because I don't really intend to, you know, present it differently or take it down, you know, once it's up, really it's going to stay there. I mean, I'll take a good photo set after it's built, but after that it's really going to spend its life on the ceiling. So I'll glue on the stores. I have been thinking about it, and I do sort of like the idea of that full Vietnam weapons load. We had a little bit of talk about, well, sorry, when I say we had talk, some of you made comments about those. Of all of the stores, I'm open to leaving those off, but we'll see. So I guess what I'll do is I'll build all the bombs, I'll get the missiles ready, I'll put it all on, and then I'll look at the overall effect with and without those fuel tanks. So I know that I'm going to get too bogged down in stores if I start with them. On the other hand, I stand the danger of just calling it quits after the model's finished and I haven't done the stores yet. You know, it's a sort of almost a similar thing to canopies and things like that, but there's much more work in the stores. So I shouldn't really be leaving that to the end. I guess I should be starting on building and assembling stores as I go along with the main thing. I can start closing up that, I can start closing up that, which I will do soon. It would look nice with air brakes, but I'm not going to put them down since nobody flies around with air brakes on purpose. And I have started getting the cockpit together, and it's not a complicated cockpit at all, so actually quite easy. And some of the parts, the seats with the pilots on, you can put in right at the end. So you don't get too bogged down for a long time with cockpit build before you can get to fuselage fixing up. What does slow you down somewhat is this intake issue. I will be probably painting up a few parts, maybe even today, so that I'm progressing with nozzles and things. Now, I haven't made a decision on this yet as far as actually correcting the exhausts to the correct diameter. The good suggestion is cut a slot, widen it, and insert one equivalent of one vein. It's difficult to judge how bad the visual effect is, and it is something that can be done closer to the end, I think, slotting these in. I think so. So I'm still pondering that. I think of all the problems on the Phantom, the exhaust nozzles is maybe the less noticeable one. On the wings, once you have the inboard, the main wing sections together, the way that those outboard ones connect up appears to just be on flat surface. Let me just find the right piece here. There's not much of a sort of a dihedral insert, so you need to change it from being like at about 20 down to 12.5. And that's, of all of the changes, that's the easiest one, but does involve a little bit of measurement. I just want to get to that part in the plans, in the instructions. So I'm sort of thinking to actually build a 12.5 degree insert, because for one thing I don't want a joint which relies just on the glue on that surface. I'm not sure how strong it is. I'll have a bit of a look, because it doesn't look like it has a lot of contact area. I'll just see what the pieces look like that go onto there. So there's certainly space to do an insert there, and with a minimal amount of work, just changing that, you could get an insert there, and then I just have to figure out what's the best way of having a 12.5 degree thing. You could make metal pieces. You could 3D print. I don't think I'll 3D print in this case. Metal inserts sounds okay, but I'm not keen on the fact that you're not getting a plastic to plastic join. And I haven't read that document yet in detail about, I know you get a little extra kit or something. I don't want to be buying extras here. I just want to do a little mod to mount them at exactly the correct angle, and I think you need to trim off a little bit on the lower surface to actually get that. So yeah, there is a little bit of work. It's not just an insert, but it's not the worst. And then of course the big problem which I've started addressing was the pieces of the inside of the intakes, which they molded onto here, is quite an eyesore in the way that it's handled inside the intake when it's finished. So some people just put on that cover. If it's standing on the tarmac, for instance, they just put on that intake cover and you don't see anything on the inside. That solves that, but mine's going to be in flight, and in any case I'd sort of like to fix it. So there's quite a number of intake pieces, and there's a fair bit of work to get that glued up correctly, and then I just need to check that I get the internal view looking really nice and smooth. There is a little bit more work than just those pieces. What I don't know yet, and where is that? Where did I put those? Here we go. So I don't know. Where that other piece went to now, the little backing piece there. I need to do a little bit better organization inside here. What I don't know is if this piece needs to be cut and modified. You know, if I hold it in position right now, it all looks fine. But I'm not sure if it needs to be modified to get that view on the inside correct. I think someone did make a comment that something needs to be done with that, but I don't know what yet. There is quite a bit of detail on the surround there, which doesn't need to be done before you glue and get your fuselage together. Although actually thinking about that now, I was test fitting last night. There's a little bit of, well, it's not quite warp, it's just that this part is cooled. I suppose you might call it warp. It does need to be bent up slightly, but that's a very easy glue, and with the screws I think it'll all be okay. I'm pondering okay, I'm just going to need to check the, you know, doing all that intake work and ensuring that this lower surface and part of the intake is handled correctly. The engine bits look totally fine. I'm not going to be doing extra work on that. I have done some sanding on the inside there, although that's probably unnecessary. You know, there was some ejector pin marks, but when you view, I mean, yeah, I guess you would see that because it's quite reflective. So if you look, oh, that reminds me now, I totally forgot about that. The LED, I was going to do LEDs in the tail light, in the to represent sort of you know, burner going on in the back out of the nozzle. So I must think about that. I mustn't get too excited with the build and forget to put in LEDs, and I think cockpit LEDs would also be nice. I need to investigate that. So just note to myself, don't get overexcited with aspects, just take it calmly. So for the next little while there's going to be a lot of work on the intakes. I guess there's halves of things that I can join, spraying the pieces that I can spray at the moment. Oh, there's the one that I was going to show you. So this I need to find out if any mods are required on this and why. Because at the moment it looks good. I was slightly worried that the external part of the in this piece, as it fits to the fuselage, was not. I thought that might have had a step, and it looks to be not too bad. It looks like there's a little bit of a imperfect join line, but not too bad. So it was all mainly that internal. Pilots, I must start work on them actually and get their colors somewhat right, because there's going to be a lot of small little tiny brush touching details on there. And then all of those panels. So yes, quite a bit of work just to prepare. Not sure what else I can say about this at the moment. I do very much like the size. I like the way that Tamiya has presented and handled most of it. I don't know why they went and put these pieces on. It's just, it makes so much more sense. It's sort of like they were totally focused on the exterior, and viewing on the intakes was just totally an afterthought. And if you saw the wrong thing on the inside there, they didn't really care. I again am not a fan of these little antenna, but because there's no join line, I don't need to actually work that area, so I can ignore that for now. I mean, I can ignore it completely. It can just stay on there till painting. There's one, two, there's two over there, and again they're not in the way of anything. I don't need to paint undercarriage bays. This area needs quite a bit of attention, paint effect wise. There is a join line. Okay, there's quite a big join line there, mold seam. So that needs a good bit of sanding back. But otherwise this part looks totally fine. And this kit, you know, moving from the 1/48th to this one just mostly feels like you're getting bigger, not ridiculously more parts, which makes for quite a nice build. I think it's not overwhelming. I don't know what my estimated end date for this would be, but I don't think it's going to be an incredibly long build. Very nice. If you've got any questions about any specific areas that you wanted to see a bit more, just add the comments. I mean, I'm sure you get much more impressive seats than what they've provided, and you know, even looking at this one, the likelihood of you looking inside the cockpit, and even when you do, it's honestly, it's such a minimal aspect compared to the overall model, that I don't feel like one needs to go anything more than the model parts on cockpit, and even more so because it's a model that'll hang on the ceiling. Painting this on the inside and dry brushing that, slightly interesting. Give your thoughts on whether you think this really needs to be changed. I believe it'll be about 1 millimeter too narrow. The diameter of that thing about 1 millimeter off, and I'm not, you know, it does have a double layer plastic, but you would be able to squeeze it out if you cut a slot. You would be able to widen it, but at the moment I'm actually more thinking that I won't do that. Okay, so it looks like we are going to put the stores on it. Where's a good view? So we've got this we've got that view with everything on. which it is a full load, but might actually be nice when hanging up. Although I did say I was going to ponder whether I should do this one on the wall, because seeing the underside of this kit the whole time and not being able to see the top seems somewhat like a bit of a loss to the overall build. Okay, give your comments. Till next time. Cheers.